or a mild restoration, replace all your braking system. You never know if you're going to have to rely on the handbrake in an emergency. Welcome back to the community, everybody, and thank you all for being part of it. Today, I'm going to do something a little different this week, plus I got some other things going on, so I had to hit the pause button for about 3-4 days in the shop. But it's okay, because like I said, now if you've noticed, I'm trying to amp up the body work a little quicker. Today, what we're going to do is how much does it cost to restore a Volkswagen Beetle in the year 2024 as we wind down to the end. The economy may change next year. We don't know if it will, but at least this gives you an idea if you're a newcomer or if you're one that wants to go, holy crap. Yeah, because this isn't the same car as 20 years ago. So let's get it buttoned up and see what the average cost is to do this. Now, if you do hear a little humming in the background for now, it's the heater. It's like 42 degrees in here, so I'm trying to get it up to like 55. Good news is, VW sent me a diesel heater, an 8K, that's supposed to do the garage. My garage, for example, is a 14 by 23. Yes, it's little. However, we're going to give it a try and see what it does. I'll do that next week, but it's going to be just an extra video next week because I want to start the body work on the deck lid and the front trunk. Now, when it comes to VW Beetle projects, first of all, people immediately think it's a Volkswagen Beetle. I could probably do this half the cost as restoring an old Chevy or a Ford, what have you. That's not the case anymore. These cars have climbed up in value. They're much more expensive than they used to be. Just like anything else, though, I get it. But a lot of folks see them going through Barrett-Jackson and see some of the prices that are ridiculously high on some of them. Some, most not. The buses are really high. I think today, your average price for picking up a Beetle is about $2,000 and up. Now, I think it depends on where you live also. Now, I'm in northeastern Rust Belt, capital of the USA. So, plan on doing a lot. Now, some of you are lucky. Some of you are out west. Some are down south. Sometimes you don't need floor pans. But I'm going to give you a roundabout. If you got one for almost nothing, say $1,000 or $1,500, that just needs everything, and you want to dig into it, I advise you to sit down and look prices up. But at the end of the day, they're a unique car and they're special. So let's get started. Now, the first things first, floor pans. Now, a lot of the VWs, I'm not saying all of them, but the most part, a lot of times the floor pans are gone. Just like Heather 77 I picked up. Now you can see what I got myself into, which is fine. Now, the best way to do it is to lift the body. Now, what I'm going to go over with you, remember, doesn't include labor. This is you doing the work, and my channel is loaded with DIY. So there isn't not much you're not going to find on it. Floor pans. Luckily, mine were solid in this one, but true. The floor pans, honestly, now, these aren't like when we were younger and they're $100 a pop. You're looking at around $500 for a set of floor pans, okay? And I don't know if that's freight shipping or what, but that's about the cost of the floor pans these days. I do think it's freight shipping, but I'm not positive, but it wouldn't surprise me. So the floor pans are number one. The next thing is going to be the heater channels. Your heater channels, again, you've got to buy good ones. You don't want to buy junk ones. You're looking upwards around $400 for both heater channels. All right, so I'll keep putting stuff on the top of the screen for that. So heater channels, expect at least $400, and they're a vital structure to the car. Next, you have rocker panels, okay? The rocker panels also now, they're about $140. Now, I know that's adding up fast, but you're talking about the structure of the car. So that's your basic right there for the frame structures, what I call it, your heater channels, your rocker panels, and your floor pans, which requires to move the body off of the chassis. I'll be doing a video on that before you know it. Honestly, though, they're not that bad to do. If you do have to pay labor, you're going to be broke. Next, we have fenders. Now, remember, we're on the exterior of the car now, okay? Fenders, in all honesty, they're approximately $200 to $250 a piece now. Yeah, I know, but everything goes up in cost over the years. That's what happens. So plan on $800 to $1,000 if, in fact, you want some nice quality fenders. Don't buy junk. Find originals if you can. That's what I did. And a buddy of mine, yeah, that guy there with the taxi, he had actually pretty much gave me 2 NOS fenders for the front. For the rear, he gave me factory fenders, old German ones. There's no rust on them. I lucked out. So basically, that's what you want to do with fenders if you can. Also, you're going to need fender beading. Now, fender beading is approximately about $40, and that covers all 4 fenders. Make sure to get quality. Don't get the plasticky ones because they're junk, and they'll fight with you, and you'll swear. Then you'll know why I said that. Now, something I'm going to say while we're on the body stuff is you're going to need seals. And when I say seals, I mean everywhere. Like where your clutch cables come out, around your taillight gaskets. I could go on and on. I won't sit there and name every little seal, but there's a lot of them. So plan on at least $150 at least for all your seals everywhere, you know, in your engine compartment to keep the heat out, like different things like that. Now, the next thing, as odd as it sounds, and we're doing a restore, remember, taillight assemblies. Now, I use all original German ones. I get a little rust here. I've got like 4 pairs of these complete. I'm going to actually redo some of them and put them on a marketplace because they're originals. But taillight assemblies are about $120 a pair. And what you got to watch when you get used ones is the backs of them where the nuts are. But I do have some of these I'm going to throw up to get rid of. I have too many. You're about $120 a pair for these. And as odd as it sounds to include these things, is everything adds up when you're doing a project. And just for reference, I do have all of these parts I could be showing you minus the floor pans, but I'm not going to drag everything out of my storage just to keep showing parts. So the next thing is the front apron. Some of this stuff's in the garage. Your front aprons, they're about $100. They're not too bad yet, but there's different ways you can put them on. Obviously, I've seen people use the body glue now, which is extremely strong. Very large pop rivets, spot welding, whatever you choose. But remember, these prices don't include labor. Next is a rear apron. Now, they're about almost $120 to $150 now for a decent one. I was going to do one with the deletes, and I changed my mind. I'm going to use the openings for a reason. I'm going to try to make mine a removable apron. I'm still undecided now on that part. But your rear apron also requires you to line it up with the fenders, the deck lid. There's a little bit of work involved with that, but average is around $150 for a decent one. Next, we have bumpers. Okay, now we can go down a rabbit hole with bumpers. I've seen Glenn on the Samba took, I think, from his 74 Beetle and took the original ones and got them re-chromed. Smart move. They don't look big and clunky. They're originals. They're nice. Okay, I got off track there. Standard bumpers for decent ones, keep that in mind, are about $300 for the front and back. All right. That really isn't bad because think of like what you would pay for a bumper for like a Chevelle or a Falcon. Yeah, see, that don't seem too bad then. And I know Chevelles are worth 50 grand. I get it, but I was just kind of making a statement. Now, you also have the towel rack bumpers, as which we refer to them as. And those can start getting around the $600 range for a pair of them, front and back. That's not as user-friendly. However, if you have to have them, you have to have them. I know people that have adapted them to 68 nups, etc., etc. Now, we also have Nerf bumpers. I like them. I love those. You either hate them or you like them. It don't matter. The Nerf bumpers are around $220 a pair for the front and back, I should say all 4. So if you're really trying to budget and you only want to spend like $80 for the front and back, you can get T-bars. I like them too. I like the front end of a Beetle. I can't help it. Now, I know it says restoration in the title. However, I'm talking about restoration and designing it how you want. But if you're trying to save a little money on something, the T-bars, $80 for the front and back, it'll get you through until you can afford something later. Now, another thing is your window rubbers. The rubbers that hold the windows in, all right? Now, you can get a set of 4, I think it's around $200. Now, those are good West Coast metric soft rubber. I really like them a lot. I've used them before. I actually have them, but like I said, I'm not going to pull all my stuff out of storage today just to do a video because you know what I'm saying. Get good quality. Now, the ones I got are the Cal look without the chrome. And the reason is because I'm being lazy about putting the chrome on it. I have all the original chrome from the windows, so I'm going to put them aside and keep them safe, and maybe I'll use them on Heather's car for work. I don't know. Since we're on this side of the car, antenna. They're about 25 bucks for antenna. I don't like a lot of the newer ones that mount here. They have a plastic cap that threads on instead of metal. I believe I have a metal one left. I got to find it. That's around $25, give or take. I might cap this off and put an old school one there. Still not sure yet, but that's what an antenna costs. What about the windshield? A lot of them are delaminating apart. That's what I call it. They get that crap around the corners of them, and usually they're cracked or what have you. They're really not that hard to put in. I think the back ones are the worst, but you're talking about at least $200 now for a windshield. And I imagine there's some heavy shipping on top of that. So, and if you have a super curved, they can go clear up to $300. I've actually installed one of them before and was a nervous wreck of breaking it because they're not cheap. The back windows, I forgot to look up the price on them, but it's right here. And just be careful with your glass, especially if you have pop-outs and got to reseal them. Next would be your wiring harness. Now, they're about $300 for a decent wiring harness, possibly a little more. Don't buy a junk one. Wiring harness, mine is fine, truthfully. I got lucky for a 68 I pulled from a salvage yard. The wiring harness on this is perfect. It may not look it right now, but it is. And the wires are nice and soft still. They're not brittle. Fuse panel, about $40, unless you clean all the tabs up and there's no cracks. Yours is fine. If you need a fuse panel, so that and a wiring harness, you're about $350 right there. Now, a gas tank, I do have a new one here. It's a Holly, and it's not sitting in place. The new gas tanks are about $150 to $200. Super Beetle, a little bit higher. So if your gas tank can be cleaned out, do it. If it can't, buy a new one. Don't mess around. Cry once, spend once. Is that how that goes? So door panels is what we have next. Now, door panels are about $150 for a set of 4. I really don't consider that bad in this day and age. However, this is one of my originals. We got to still finish yet. I had mine diamond tucked and reupholstered. Heather did those. To tell you the truth, I just wanted that custom 60s, 70s look. So if you're going to get into something like a custom look, it could start adding up a little bit more. But basically about $150 for a set of 4. Now, let's go over to the seats. Now we're talking about seats. Now, obviously, these are custom seats. I wanted to sit lower and back further. These are Scat Pro cars. They're almost like memory foam. They're very comfortable, and it gives me more leg room. To take your stock seats, okay, and do reupholstery kit, you start at about $300 and can go clear up to $800 on the quality that you're after. So choose wisely when you're reupholstering your seats. These ones here were about $600 for the pair, and I may not put a back seat in. I'm not sure yet. These were well worth it. There's no doubt. I even did a video on how to make the brackets very easily, but plan on between $300 and $800 depending on the level. So we'll clock in at about, say, $400 to be safe on a reupholstery kit, a decent one. So also you're going to need a carpet kit. Now you're around 160 to 300 depending on what carpet kit you choose. I used TMI last time and I was very happy with them. I chose the salt and pepper, that's what that was. I really liked it. I had no issue, and it was a little cheaper because that was about 2.5 years ago. But you're going to need a carpet kit, so plan on that. Okay, I'm kind of squeezed in here, but you see the sound deadener there. It's dusty and dirty. I use the rolled roofing. Quick Roof, Peel and Stick you can get from Lowe's. On an average, I go through 4 to 5 rolls because I do the insides of the doors, 2 layers on the floor, the 2 layers on the luggage rack, the quarter sections. I don't do the roof because I heard under high heat it lets go and then it's laying in your headliner. Ugh. Next would be a pedal assembly, and I can't squeeze in the video while shooting it. Now, a pedal assembly, I would advise you to go ahead and refurbish the German original one. I have a couple of videos on that. A new assembly is about $150. Now, if you opt and want to, you can do the pedal extender to push the clutch pedal over for an extra 100. But basically, you're about $150 on a pedal assembly. And then I can't squeeze in a video with some of these. We have sun visors. Now, try to stick with some stock German ones if possible. I'm going to redo mine slightly to perfect them a little more. But if you have to purchase them, they're not horrible. They're $60 to $80 for a nice pair. So that's not real bad. Next would be the dash pad. Now, the dash pad 68 and up was for in case you bopped your head. I don't see how that was going to help, but it's a safety thing they put in place. You are $150 to $300 depending on the level. I see Wolfsburg West sells them for about $300, and they're supposed to be pretty nice. I have not used one personally, or you can go as cheap as $100, $150. I'm going to be doing a metal dash, the 67 and back look, but that's exactly what that will entail. Let's round it off to about a couple $100. The next one will be your door sills, the rubber seal that goes in all the way around your door. So when you shut it, you're closing off all of that wind and whistling and everything. Now, you do want to get some high quality ones. They're about $100 a pair. I bought the Brazilian ones. The German one's a little bit higher. I forget now. But plan on about $100 for new weather seals around the doors. Now, speedometers. I have quite a few. This isn't even my car here, I don't think. I can't remember. You're anywhere from $80 to $300 for speedometers. 80's the used market, something like this. And of course, $300 for a new one. So choose wisely with that, especially, gas gauge stuff and things of that nature. Now we're talking about window scrapers. I wished I'd have took the time and brought all this stuff out of storage, but it takes forever to get all my parts out and put them back. I have everything I need for this car almost. The window scrapers I just pulled out when I did the door video. They're about $150 a pair for the outer ones. That's with the chrome trim that goes around them and the rubber for your window. The inners, I think, are about $30 a pair for the inner, just a rubber strip. So plan on buying good ones, though. Anytime you're buying rubber, buy good quality. Now let's get into the suspension next, okay? And remember, I'm going to miss a couple of things. I was trying to remember every single thing needed, and that's not easy. Now let's talk about a front beam, okay? Your front beam, a bare one is around $400. They're usually Brazilian beams. Empty, I'm sure there's others that are really expensive. Truthfully, I have an empty beam on here, and we'll go over that in a minute. The front beam's about $400. That's a bare beam like you see here. Okay, now you can get a complete beam in the box by MP that comes from spindle to spindle, just everything that's done. It's done for except drums or rotors, and I think are about 15 or 16. However, if you do have a rusted beam, like right in this area, you can buy beam repair plates. They're about $40. Just like 3-4 years ago, they were like $20, but everything doubled. So you can buy a beam repair kit if you feel you're mechanically inclined to weld new plates and do all of that. Obviously, you're going to want new front end parts. I buy them in the kits where it includes the center section, the inner and outer tie rods. A complete kit is around $100, give or take, for the inner and outers, both sides, etc. So buy new. Don't play around with old front end parts. The next would be ball joints. These are your ball joints. Now you don't want to play games with these, okay? Replace them. For $100, you can get all four, upper and lower, both sides. I know some say, oh man, they're a nightmare though. I did a video on how to do those without a press, okay? You know, a big 23,000 ton press, whatever. You can do them. You got to make sure you clock them properly, but I won't get into that. I've talked about that in the video. Make sure you replace your ball joints. Like I said, I'm not going to start pulling a bunch of parts out. Next would be your steering dampener, and they're about 40 bucks. You want to redo your suspension, especially under even a mild restoration, or you're making up a daily driver just to get around. Do your front end parts. For $40, it's worth doing the steering dampener. Next is your steering box. Take a look. Does it have play? Does it have slop in it? Probably does. Now you can try adjusting them. I won't get into that right now. That's not what this video is for. You're looking at around $300 for a steering box. However, if you can rebuild yours, take it apart. I showed how they come apart. Do the steering box. Make sure it is safe. Don't forget your rag joint on there. Rag joint's about $20, $30 for a good one. So you definitely want to do the steering box. Now, next would be shocks. Now, shocks, technically, they're about $150 for a full set for front and back, and it depends on what you want to run. I like running the oil up front. I feel that it's a little more soft. My buddy Johnny would probably agree on that. And also on the back, then, you know, the gas, because there's a lot more weight back there, which smooths it out with the gas ride. But do what you want. $150, cha-ching. Brake shoes, just in case you want to stop. That's up to you. Yeah, you want to stop. They're about 50 bucks for a set for front and rear, complete. Well, just shoes. So you're going to want to obviously upgrade with your brake shoes. And maybe even go to a disc brake setup for the front at least, because that's where a lot of your stopping's done. I got ahead of myself. Brake spring kits are about $40 for all the way around. I just showed you a picture of what they are. Try to stay with good quality parts when you're doing your braking system, ball joint, suspension. Don't screw up. Wheel cylinders, they're about 25 bucks each, 100 for all four. Buy good quality ones though. Remember, you're talking about your car stopping. It's very important. Next would be a brake line kit. It comes complete, all in a kit. Now, technically, they're about 40 bucks for a cheaper pair, or you could buy a roll of brake line and do it yourself, as long as you are confident with, you know, flaring the ends and everything. That's up to you. Or you can buy stainless lines for about $70 to $80, which I do recommend. Now, the next thing you want to do is your master cylinder. You're looking at about $130 for a decent master cylinder. And again, try to stay with high quality, because that's what stops the car. That'll bring me next to drums. Now, drums, you literally can go to around $250 for a set of four. But a very good friend of mine, Uncle Bon, he bought some rear ones at one point, and I forget how many sets he went through. And no, it wasn't mechanic error. They were junk. And I don't remember what brand he bought. So stay with the good quality. If you can, have yours cut. If there's meat left on them, have them cut. You'll thank yourself later. Now, something I did forget to bring up, if you want to go to an adjustable beam, you can lay out a little bit more money. It might be worth it if you want to lower the car a little bit or raise it a little. Okay, disc brakes. If you would like to do a disc brake conversion, I know that's not part of a standard restore, but if you would like to do them, you're around $300. And I did one on video. It's not hard to do that conversion. It's actually quite simple, I believe. Now, they sell a disc brake kit with the spindles. I have 2.5-inch drop spindles. You're around $550, right around there for that kit. And don't forget brake hoses. I forgot to bring that up with the brake line kit. I didn't look yet, but I believe you're probably around $40 for the 4 brake hoses. So that takes me to wheel bearings, okay? Inner and outer wheel bearings are about $50 for the kit. And that would be the inner outers for the front, and usually they'll come with the seal. So you definitely want to do that and make sure you grease them good. Brake cables, that would be your handbrake cables. The handbrake cables are around $40 a pair, but you want to replace them. Remember, you're doing a restoration project or a mild restoration. Replace all your braking system. You never know if you're going to have to rely on the handbrake in an emergency. Next would be your rear wheel bearings. Now, on the IRS, they're about $80 for a pair of them. Okay, that's for both sides. And a lot of times it will quiet the car down. Usually there's a humming that you're not aware of until you change them. Swing axle is about $50, and you definitely want to change them. They're a pain in the butt, I believe, on the swing axle, but it is what it is. They should be done. I'm going to have to do mine, so you watch me cry on video when I'm trying to do them. I don't like doing them. Now comes to the engine, and the engine, a long block now, is about $4,000 to $5,000. Yeah, they're a lot more than they used to be, huh? Now that's already assembled, a long block. That doesn't count all the upper end. That is just the long block. Now, truthfully, you can buy a complete kit for about $3,000 to $3,500, probably a complete rebuild kit and do it yourself. But you still have to get your block machined. You got to know what you're doing. They're not horrible, but I'm just saying you got to know what you're doing. The engine kits without the blocks are about $1,800. The one that I quoted you around $3,500 or so is with the engine block included. And don't forget, you're going to need heater boxes, which are about $400 a pair for a good pair. If you're going to run heater boxes, if you want to cheap out, you can do some J-tubes, but make sure you know how to do them properly so you don't, hold heat in. Now, don't forget about a muffler. They're about $150, right around there. Now, you can go clear up to a vintage speed system or straight up headers, they're all across the board. You can go up to $800, but your standard muffler is about $150. And you're going to need an alternator, so plan on about $100 for a new alternator. A lot of people are running them now for the higher amperage, and a belt, $15. Now, these are things that come along with the territory, like a fuel pump, about $30. Getting into your ignition system, coil, plug wires, spark plugs. Coils are about $40. Plug wires are about $25. Spark plugs about $16. A distributor, a good one, about $150 and up, right around there. Carburetor. Well, you can get a Volkswagen for about $250, which are amazingly good. I want to start doing them too, rebushing them and doing the same process to save a little bit of money. I have quite a few Solux carbs in a box. And if you want to go with a $50 Amazon one, I've heard people have luck with those. But we're going to shoot for around $200 to $250, just for the basic fact that you want a high quality one that lasts a long time. Now, transmission. Swing axle, RS. I like RS. A rebuild is typically around $1,400 to $1,800. Now, before you go into shock, remember, on the newer cars, transmissions can range from $5,000 to $10,000. So really, that's not bad. And if you want to spend about $2,500, you can get a racing transmission with welded this and welded that and, all kind of high-tech stuff. But for your basic transmission, plan on about $1,400, right around there. A clutch kit's about $150 for your clutch pressure plate and release bearing. That's really not bad when it comes down to it in today's 2024 standards. Ugh. Hopefully it gets better. All right, now wheels. Now, Everybody's all about wheels, so am I. But you don't have to have the most high-end wheels to start out with. If you want the stock wheels, now obviously your car had to come with wheels. Well, most likely. If it didn't, for any reason, show me how you got it home. Don't lie to your wife or husband and say, I got to have wheels. But if you do, $100 a wheel, basically, for the steel wheels new. Now, you can get chrome ones for about $140 a piece, which always look really nice. And of course, the hubcaps are about $100 for a set of 4. All right, now I got to squeeze this in. Super Beetle. Right. I didn't forget Super Beetle, folks. I like Super Beetles. They ride much more comfortable. They corner very well. The turning radius is better. I like Super Beetles. That's the first thing I did on the channel was Gracie. And now a new owner has her, which was 3 people later. People bought it off of me and kept flipping the car. I'm glad Dave got a hold of it. But anyhow, struts. The inserts are about $70, right around there, your strut inserts, so about $140 a pair. Now you can do a top line strut lowering kit, the complete setup, for like $600, which is pretty nice quality. So that's something that you may want to consider if you have a Super Beetle. Now you need, for a Super Beetle, the tie rod center. Yeah, that right there. You're looking at about $100 for that. The tie rod kits with the sleeves are also about $100 for the kit, and it's worth buying all that. The ball joints on them are about $40 a pair for good quality, and the idler arm bushing is a must. They're not fun to do. Those are $40. Take it to a local shop and have it pressed in. You'll thank yourself. Control arm bushings, they're about $50 a kit, and they're easy to do. Don't let anybody tell you they're not. You can do them yourself cheap. If you freaked out a little, you can buy for $180 a side the control arm kit that's completely done. Steering boxes for the Super Beetle can range around $400 possibly. And of course, there's always miscellaneous stuff. So now I'm going to tally that all up and see. Now remember, this is approximate, but I bet you I hit it pretty close. This is an estimate to restore a Beetle and close to a Super Beetle in the year 2024. Because at the end of next year, I'm going to do this again, and I want to see where the price difference is. All right, now what I was going to say is sit down before I give you the price. That's what I did. All right, you are at about $9,500, so let's round it out to $10,000. Mike, one of the club members, had said he was about 10 grand deep, and his is on road, but I have a feeling he was going to say like he still needed to do some things. I can't tell. However, that didn't include the motor. So tack about another $4,000 on to do a complete rebuild, hopefully doing it on your own with the block included and everything. And you're up to close to about $14,000. That didn't include the price of the car. That's right. That did not include the price of the car. Now, tack on a couple $1,000 if you're buying one that needs completely restored like that. Yes, you're probably somewhere in the ballpark of $15,000 altogether with the car included. And I did forget to mention, if you have a sunroof, plan on new cables. So about $300 for the cables and some seals. And I did a video on that. They're a little tedious to mess with. Now, keep in mind, when it comes down to it, yeah, I see Beetles out there for $10,000 that you can go purchase, and they're very nice. It depends on what you want to do. If you're trying to do a project on your own, then obviously it's worth it in the end. Maybe you're retired and want to do it, or maybe you're raising children and you want to do a father-son project, or a father-daughter project, or a mother-son project. You know, to me, it's worth it. This will be done this spring. I'm very excited about it. Doing videos does slow it down. If you think, why is he taking so long? Well, when you're filming, it slows everything down, which it's worth it though. But there you have it. A couple things to talk about, and we're going to let you go. Now, this week, I'm going to be doing the live chat on Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. I have a little stuff going on Friday. so I won't be able to do it. But the following Friday will resume as normal. I'm going to go ahead and do the diesel heater probably Tuesday. That'll be an extra video, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. I'll unbox it, put it together. We'll start it up and watch the temperature. I'll speed everything up though, and I think that'll be great. I'm excited because it'll be a little cheaper to heat the garage that way than my big electric one. And then I got to go ahead and continue on the body work, the front suspension, brake lines. We're going to start snapping that stuff together. So thank you all for being here. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're happy, healthy, and safe. And I will see you Sunday night on live chat.